Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's VIN-dow with Robert Hollinshead. What is good morning, Bob? Good morning to you, and beautiful midsummer. Sorry we haven't been getting on here. I've been running around doing vacations with the kid and stuff like that, and running the roads, but we're back.
Top of the morning to you, Sean. And it was nice to see you and your brother. You came down to pick up a nice little Porsche convertible for your brother's midlife crisis, the obligatory 911.
That's it. That's it.
And hit a bump on the way back to Canada on 95 and ripped the rear end of the car out. That's perfect. And I'm just doing this as a public notice. I certainly 100% did not know that there was something that could be an issue with the car as you and the kids are driving back to Canada in that little unit. And I absolutely 100% will stand behind it. Whatever it costs you to fix it, I'm taking care of. So now it's on public record, Shawnee. I apologize for it. Little car came out of Naples, Florida. Seemed like a decent mileage, little junk for a decent price, and I figured we had something. But I just want to make sure that your brother realizes that it was not an intentional thing, and I'm standing behind it. That's all.
Yeah, it was an adventurous trip. It was George Washington Bridge in New York City. I think they need to do some road work there. No comment on a U.S. Infrastructure projects, but maybe put that one at the top of the list.
We're building back better. Sure. Don't worry about it. It'll happen soon.
Okay.
Yep.
So, seems to be a lack of vehicles flowing through wholesale, maybe in general, but as we were driving down, I love looking at all the dealer lots as we flew by in the interstates, and they all seem pretty packed full of inventory. But what are you seeing in your world on the wholesale side of things?
Well, typically, and going back for decades, many decades after the 4th of July, it typically marks a little shift in the pricing. People on vacation is always the excuse. It has nothing to do with the excuse. You're getting close to a model year change. And, prices dropped this year over the past 3 weeks. So back to really the week before the 4th of July, going straight through till now. So a month, I guess it is. We've seen, actually a COVID-esque, like something like COVID, the market went nuts. You could be a monkey falling out of the tree, buy anything on 4 wheels, take it to the auction, and make $5,000. In other words, it was like unbelievable. It's unreal. You almost wanted to get used to it. And next year wasn't quite as good as the following year. So, and then almost got back to normal. And then all of a sudden, after the 4th of July this year, we got this little bit of a surge. And the surge is irrational because you don't hear people that are doing so much business, trying to sell new cars, so they're trying to trade cars. And what's getting traded is, like, I would say, the definition of mud, generally speaking, obviously, but we don't see, on the in-play is what we call cars that are actually available, they bought and sold, the in-play market, we just don't see the same kind of availability of cars. We forget where they're coming from whatever source, they're just not there. You follow me? So it's not like we're not getting any cars, but for us, we're down almost 50% because all of our sources that we've been buying from for many decades just aren't doing the business. There's a pocket here or there, but that pocket doesn't change the volume. And then what we see is cars bringing rocket shots. So of course it's normal supply and demand bullshit, right? Which is true, but it's really not true. In other words, anything that really is standing on 2 feet with the equipment, color, and mileage and so forth, that is a normal car that you got a really broad audience for. It can bring rocket money, and then everybody, he overpaid, she overpaid. That car's not worth the money, is it? But the funny thing is, today we have software that our software actually tracks. We know where we bought it, where we sold it, and how long it's been sitting on their lot. And what I've found is recently, it's very interesting. We look at this on a pretty broad range. Well, and what I'm actually talking about are cars that would typically be a car that goes on a franchise dealer lot. It's not a 180,000 mile dually diesel, some revived resto mod junk. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about a normal car, right? Like something with decent miles, and it's a car that you like. But this special one, when I say special, color, equipment, miles, history, and got a little look to it. You can't really describe what a look is, but any car dealer that knows how to buy cars knows what a look is. Like you look at it, it's kind of like looking at an ass. In other words, you got to take a second glimpse because you can't help yourself. It's natural. It's Darwinian. You can't do nothing about it. That car that brings a rocket shot, because it is an emotional thing. It's beyond statistics and days to market and playing with your balls. Now, not that one, but the one that is like, whoop, you can't help but take a second look. That car hits the block, brings rocket shot, like on a regular basis, rocket shot, where normally you'd be saying, well, it's after the 4th of July, it brought good money. It was sell the bitch, right? No, rocket shot money. Well, it's over retail. Here's what happens. When I track those cars that are rocket shot earmarked, they're the first ones that get sold. So as we know where we know every dealer's inventory in the entire country every day, what sells, what don't, how much the price changed over time. That's what AccuTrade does. So in other words, we know all of that stuff. And when I earmark and watch like groupings of cars that look like they brought too much money, it just so happens that if they were attractive to you when you bought the bitch, and you bring it home, and now it got dropped off. Hopefully, it got there someday because Central Dispatch didn't have it winded up in Mexico somewhere. In other words, and you actually get the car, right? And now you look like a smart guy because all the salespeople are circling that bitch like it's red meat, and they haven't eaten in 3 weeks, right? And that car goes out on the point, 45 degree, sitting up, tits out, right? In other words, that car don't last, and it don't even matter what the price is. So all of the well, there's no emotions when buying cars. You have to follow rules. Okay, that is true, but it's the most moronic bullshit anyone in the world has ever uttered past their teeth, right? Something that got emotional with you, 100% of the time is getting emotional with somebody else. Whether they can afford it or not, they'll find a way to afford it because they're taking a second look at the ass. You understand? And they're saying, well, I could buy that one. But it don't matter because it ain't getting you excited. It ain't getting the buyer excited. It ain't getting the salesperson excited. And this, I think I'm noticing more and more and more. Cars that are bringing wild, irrational money. Well, that car had an MSRP of whatever, 43 years ago. Don't make any difference. If it's got that emotional appeal, it follows from the block. Jesus Christ, the fees were high. Oh, my God, we didn't get it for 2 weeks because the transporter said something, right? Okay. And then when that car lands there, and it's just like water dropping on hot pavement, that bitch evaporates in next to no time. There's exceptions to that particular scenario, but what I'm saying is statistically, reliably, that more times than not, like statistically, it's going to happen. You got a car that you say, holy Christ, that's a good looking car. I'd love to have that car. Oh my God, it brought too much. If you hit that button 1 or 2 more times, just to see if you can't pinch it and get it back. Oh my God, it took too much in the shop. It was 1,100 because there was a fart in the trunk. Okay, get the fart out, put it out on the corner, and I promise you the car is getting sold. In other words, the emotional thing that goes on inside what we do when you're buying it on the street, when you're getting it ready for the block, it's hoovering, coming in the lanes, right? In other words, all of a sudden there's 432 people online. The dumbass is the best end user, buys it and brings it home, boop, disappears, just like water on hot pavement, Shawnee. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, my friend, but being a 72-year-old worthless fat slob that actually has a little experience in this and also has exposure to data that very few people on earth do. And then when you hear, oh my God, that guy's an asshole. He pays too much money for cars. I'll buy him for less. What you'll buy for less will not be the car that gets sold in 13 seconds when it hits your lot. You'll buy some car that people are doing the wagon train walk around. In other words, circling wagons around that bitch and trying to figure out how you're going to get rid of it. Because, oh, we'll pick up the finance money on it. We'll do something else. But what you ain't going to do is sell that car to somebody who says, hey, well, I know about that car, but can I look at that one right there? And now you got them in a trap they ain't getting out of. That's a muskrat trap. They're going to have to chew their leg off to get out of. You follow me?
Thank you, Bob. And actually, you know what? Double thank you for checking the data that supports what has been thought.
Oh, goodness. It's irrefutable, Sean. Irrefutable.
Yeah.
Irrefutable.
Yeah.
These are not 38-day units. They're hot water on payment. Boop, disappear. Yep.
Hey, we can cut this out, but I'm just going to spring one on you. Speaking of, you know, when a dealer sides up to another dealer after he bought a car and says, "Hey, buddy, you paid too much for that." Yeah, well, what are you thinking? Yep. What's the rationality behind even?
Shoni, let me. So don't cut that out because it's very important. For many decades, when we were standing on the auction block, spitting and throwing shit at people and having a blast, knocking people's balls off, you follow me? It happened almost every single week of the 2,500 weeks in a row that we did that. Guy that paid too much for a car, you got a shit-eating grin, like looking up at you, yeah, you know, like, Jesus Christ, I paid too much for that one. You should kiss my balls. You come back the following week and say, you know, I paid way too much money for that car, but that was the first car coming off the truck. That car got sold. And I would actually facetiously say, oh, you're kidding me. You mean that car that was standing about 50 feet above all other cars that you paid? Oh, you said you paid too much, but you sold it. So did you pay too much, or did I not? Did I sell it too cheap? You see what I'm saying to you, Sean? Happen all the time, consistently. You got it. So, oh, I robbed that one off that dumb fat ass. I robbed that one. Do the statistics on that, and see how quick that little baby jumps off the lot. You follow me? You robbed it because the other 1,100 people passed it, and we're dumb enough to sell it, because in that arena, if we don't sell it, who's the dumbass? I guess it must be us. But robbing a cheap car that's junk or is ugly or stinks or something, and that turns out not to be a robbery. You follow me? That turns out to be a trap.
Fascinating.
All right, Shorty.
It's awesome. Thank you, Bob.
Have fun, everybody.